John Wayne's war westerns, Indians are vague foes and noble victims. But as Yellowstone's non-native Aspil said, "You're the Indian now." Butchering the buffaloes to starve the tribes was sadly shown in dances. Now, the Reset's firing food processing centers has replaced it. Little Big Man showed Custer killing off the Indian ponies, just as our aircraft die of diversity daily. Silver screen settlers were hardworking freedom lovers, hacking lives out of the so-called wilderness, burying their children along the way. Now, third world illegals are flown, bussed, tented, paid, phoned, hoteled, all the better to steal the vote, then work the fields while their kids are pimped and pushed. Old West cavalry always came in the nick of time to save the settlers by tribal genociding families and nations. Today's democide is by bioweapon, frequency, and tranny. All know the original Rambo was Geronimo, last played by my old friend, Academy Award winner, Vietnam veteran, Cherokee Wes Studi. Our first paratroops war cried his name, and 6 still used it to whoop code for Bin Laden got. But few know Ohayesa, pre-reservation Dakota, and later Dr. Pastor Eastman, whose first warpath was walking the White Road Indian School, turning the claymore not to kill the Indian and save the man, but via the soul of the Indian, a book by him taught Boy Scouts and reformers how to think like an Indian and live with the land. Philip showed me the same, salvaging the Apache Naias sunrise ceremony, where bison and antelope roamed, now are fields and fences, soon replaced by GMO crops and marijuana pharma grows. And now it is our turn to not submit, but subsist. Stay alive, survive, and save. The few that persist and resist to exist, and pray for the rest. A retired SOCOM soldier, former DIA intelligence collector, and ex-DEA special agent, targeted by the deep state turned whistleblower, now America's intelligence officer, repurposed as chaplain, leader, teacher, and truth teller. New mission: rescue our fallen republic. Objective: defeat the state. Deep state means expose fake news, tools, discernment, and free will. Welcome. I'm Jeff Prather, and this is the Prather Point. Hey, welcome everybody. Rough show today. My email was hacked. I'm recovering that, but jp@jeffreyprather.com is down for now. So if you need to email me, please use help@jeffreyprather.com, help@jeffreyprather.com, JEFFREYPRATHER to reach, and I will get that fixed. But that just shows I'm over the target. Been talking about that quite a bit, of how I've been targeted even more lately. See, give me some of that, and you get Soup Girl back there from Utah on Rumble as well. So today's show is a little shorter. It looks like there's not that much going on. I'm not going to waste your time or mine with fillers. I try and compress as much as I can into an hour show so that you get the most important stuff. But remember to go to sat123.com and get your satellite phones. You can get the Inmarsat free for 24 months with a $95 a month subscription, or rather an Iridium $95 for $95 a month, or Inmarsat for $89.95 a month for a 24-month contract at sat123.com. And also, of course, go to teamamericacoffee.com. Craig and Lori's great coffee there. Or you can go on to the jeffreyprather.com/shop and get the Prather private label, which is great coffee as well. And go in there and get your Faraday bags too. You'll be seeing today more reasons. There's always more reasons to get your Faraday bags. You got to have those so you have privacy. Very important. You love the look. Okay, well, I'm rocking my SOT pin and my GWAT pocket scarf there as well. So appreciate that. 2 scripts, same author, Trump Derangement versus Devotion Syndrome. That's the subject of today's cast. And also, Patel admits deep state steering Russia Gate investigation. Trump admits to buying CIA's continuing Russia Cold War. And 0 AI reels on my shiny black heroin Substack proves my point. And then ended up with Matthew 6:24, 2 masters, Christ in America or Trump and Israel. You cannot serve both. So we're going to dive right into that and get into that. But remember, besides supporting TeamAmericaCoffee.com, you can support the show directly by going to JeffreyPrather.com. Support the show. Appreciate your donations. Keeping the Prather Point free since 2018. But if you want to get my dives, go to patreon.com/JeffreyPrather and subscribe at the $5, $15, or $25 level. Or JeffreyPrather.locals.com. Locals is working again properly as well. I was attacked there as well, but that's now up and working. And those are real important. And I'll tell you why here. So I've got an email from somebody, and I've been, again, losing lots of supporters. I'm ticking people off because I'm criticizing Trump, and other people because I'm not criticizing Trump enough. And those who get start doing name calling and get or just cussing, I ignore and delete. But if you're in sincere debate, I will respond. So here's one from Jody at Crane Pastries. I'll give you a free spot there. Reference Trump's frees Israel's new Epstein. Dear Jeffrey, where is the hard copy evidence of what you are saying? If one is going to accuse the president, produce the evidence to prove the veracity of your statements. Is Trump being misinformed yet again? You need to prove that he knew what you are claiming he knows before putting your information on the airwaves. Please show me proof. And I wrote back, as an ex-DEA special agent, I am quite familiar with evidence, which is fact-based proof presentable in a court of law. As a Defense Intelligence Agency intelligence officer, which I am familiar with what intelligence is, which is analyzed information. I present both. My supporting hard copy documents are on my Patreon and Locals, as always. So I'm going to say this all the time. If you want to see what I'm presenting, and I'm presenting both evidence and intelligence and differentiating between those, then every show, before the show, I'm posting everything I'm going to talk about. You can actually follow the show right along from Patreon or from Locals. Patreon at the $5 level, most of the stuff, Locals at the $9 level, and some deeper stuff as well. But that's the answer to that, because I can't show you all the stuff that I'm talking about here. But anyway, two scripts, same author, Trump derangement versus devotion syndrome. So under Pedo Joe and Joe's Pedos, everybody was using Trump derangement syndrome, which was just accusing Trump of everything, that he was just totally evil and totally crazy. And that was a script from the deep state, from the left, never true. But the new script is Trump devotion syndrome, which is anything Trump does is okay. And so Trump is not my Messiah. Yeshua is. I am not of the church of Trump or a MAGA cultist. I am a follower and believer in Yeshua, the Messiah, Jesus Christ. And because of man's fallen nature, Trump falls into that category, and I don't expect him to be perfect. I expect him to be a tool of God, which he is. But whether he's doing God's work or showing that he's not, both work out fine. And that's how I look at this. But I'm trying to get through to some of you that just because I criticize Trump doesn't mean I don't appreciate him, and I don't appreciate what he has done, because you kind of list everything he's done. I've already covered everything he's done and more in detail, but I'm also going to call him out when he is not serving the people in America. And so that gets to Matthew 6:24, two masters. You can't serve two masters. You can either serve Christ in America or Trump in Israel. You can't do both. And slavish or cultish devotion to MAGA or to Trump is a heretical belief if you consider yourself to be a Christ follower or a Christian. So anyway, you can look at that. Jeff, why doesn't Trump listen to alternative media like you, InfoWars, or do you think he does, but doesn't listen, stuck in the Fox way? I don't think he gets to our level. What you do see is you see my stuff filter over to Bannon. You know, Bannon now talks about Praetorian Guard all the time. That came from me. I've seen Bannon take a lot of my stuff, but Bannon doesn't have me on. Why? Because I'm not some young blonde. And I'd also ask him, hey, Bannon, how come you were trying to reform Epstein's image? So that wouldn't work out well. So, he's scared of me. I can tell who won't come on the show. And then there are those who come on, like General Flynn, but they'll only come in for a limited time. So I can't go too deep. Or they'll come in and they'll control the conversation, like Clay Clark. But that's the answer, Bren84. I think. I don't know for sure. I remember when I used to be on Fox, and I'd be on Laura Ingraham regularly, and I knew the staff, and they'd call me up to be on. But then when I started calling out Eric Holder, the Black Attorney General, then that conversation got neutered real quick, and they stopped returning my calls. And they wouldn't have me on because that's the leftist human secularism is Black superiority racism, which is what my Substack is about, which I will talk about here in a little bit as well. But anyway, the point is, whether it's Trump derangement syndrome or Trump devotion syndrome, it's the same script it's two different scripts by the same author, and you shouldn't fall for either. That becomes a belief system as opposed to faith in God and faith in Christ. So a false belief system versus faith. Faith I define as a wisdom of things unseen. So everything I've had to go through prepared for me for what I'm doing now. And now I see why I was crucibled as I am. Want to hear more about that? Get onto my chaplaincy, christchaplaincy.com. You can see all my old sermons and my wife's and the other chaplains, which are all great, christchaplaincy.com. They're all recorded there as well. Brand84, thanks for answering. I wish you would. Yeah, I wish you would too. I've put in the request. But again, you haven't seen me on Bannon. You haven't seen me on Beck. And you're not. Tucker used to talk to me and now doesn't because there's too much truth telling going on. But gradually, those of us on the cutting edge of liberty luminaries, our stuff filters. A lot of the stuff you're seeing now break in the conventional conservative media, we've put out there for years and years already. So it's a process of osmosis, and that's why you're seeing me not waste a lot of time on it. And I'll get into some of that. In fact, that's the next thing, is Patel admits the deep state steering the Russiagate investigation. And so this is a perfect example of what I'm talking about. So on Larry Kudlow's show on Fox, he had FBI Director Kash Patel on. He goes, hey, we love our great FBI. We love our great FBI agents. So just slavishly praising this organization that targeted the president, that has trafficked children, that has violated FISA, that murdered women and children at Waco, that murdered women and children at Ruby Ridge, that continually lies. Larry Kudlow is just praising him, but he says on Larry Kudlow's show, and this is a Gateway Pundit by Jim Hoft propaganda piece. That Larry Kudlow had FBI Director Kash Patel. He unleashed a series of bombshells. Okay, so that's the propaganda. Bombshells confirm what millions of Americans have long suspected. Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton were the masterminds behind the phony Russiagate hoax and the illegal invasion of President Trump's Mar-a-Lago home. Does anybody not know that in America? How is that a bombshell? It's not at all. So Patel laid it out plainly. Russiagate, the FISA court abuses, the Mar-a-Lago raid were all connected. A political operation, not a legitimate investigation. There's nothing bombshell about this. This is why I don't talk a lot about this stuff, because they're simply regurgitating it as if it is important. And I'm going to skip down. He goes, so Larry says, now I've got to ask you though, Director Patel, the FBI is not here to invade the home. Why did that happen? And Patel, the answer to both these questions is the same in terms of origination. It was a total weaponization, politicization by the FBI and the DOJ dating back to the Obama administration. Okay, So great. He's saying that is, well, then if it's a weaponization and it's a politicization, that's illegal. If it's illegal, it's a crime. If it's a crime, that's where FBI law enforcement comes into. If it's about law enforcement, then you get charged. Where are the charges? Remember, I was Department of Justice, Drug Enforcement Administration, Special Agent 1811, Senior Special Agent for 19 years. I put dopers in federal prison for 30 years. So where's the charges? So there aren't any. But he says, but what you want, once you let politicians run the FBI and DOJ and weaponize it, then they've done Donald Trump back to Russiagate. We are now showing and exposing again the weaponization. Okay, great. Cash. Is that your job, to show and expose it? Or is it your job to investigate, charge, and convict? So newsflash here, if you're a federal special agent, your job is not to show and expose, it's to investigate, charge, and convict. Okay? So but I guess, you know, the sheeple are buying this still, the 70-somethings. I'm 68, and I'm not, but they're still watching Kudlow and Fox. Remember, I got thrown off Fox because I outed Eric Holder as the Attorney General. And of course, he was black, and you can't accuse the Attorney General because the Fast and Furious emails were going right to the White House via Eric Holder. Got thrown off the, well, remember, I talked about that in my Substack, which I'll get to. I called out Barack Obama and George Floyd as black criminals, the only people that Black Lives Matter were interested in, not the 60 million black babies murdered in the womb and sometimes snipped out alive by black Dr. Gosnell as well. If you haven't seen that movie, go look at that. But anyway, Cash says, to your second point, and that's what we're doing here at the FBI, ridding the place of its former leadership structure and that did the weaponization, and we're giving accountability to the American people as we find it. So Kudlow. Cash, has there been a full investigation of Mar-a-Lago invasion? I don't know. Question, has there been a major league investigation? I don't think the public is aware of one, or if there is, what the conclusions are. Cash, look, Larry, you know, on this one, I've got to be careful in terms of investigations we formally open. But you know this from me. I've been on the Russiagate beat for about a decade now, with Congressman and Chairman Devin Nunes exposing the corruption at the FISA court, the illegalities of weaponization, the involvement of Hillary Clinton's campaign to directly fund and weaponize the Department of Justice and FBI. Yeah, and what has come of that? Nothing has come of that. So a decade of nothing. And now you're in, and so you got a decade to put this stuff together and nothing is happening. Yeah, give me some of that. Antifa.com used to redirect to whitehouse.gov. Yeah, well, that's a change. It doesn't do that anymore, finally. But here's what he says. What I'm committed to as director of the FBI, in case you forgot that he was, here's the thing. We're answering the questions publicly so the public knows what we're doing in terms of whether or not we have an investigation. No, he's not. He didn't answer the question. He's exactly not answering the question. Putting that aside, these documents show that people in leadership positions may have lied. May have lied? May have lied? It's on videotape. It's obvious they lied, but he says may have lied. So this is, you can see him walking all this back. We are not going to leave one document unturned. That is why we are going throughout this building and throughout the country, finding these materials that they wrote down, burned, and tried to destroy. All of it, in my opinion, we're going to show to the public. Really, like the Epstein list. They're going to show that to the public, huh? So just lie after lie here that is so obvious. And it's a slap in the face. And if you're buying this stuff, then, you know, I feel sorry for you. And this is Trump's guy. He could fire him tomorrow. I'm sure he could find somebody. He could find me. He could find, well, I'm not FBI, but I'm capable. You could get Steve Friend, Garrett O'Boyle, good guy, much more senior. Anyway, so he says, all of it, in my opinion, we are going to show the public, at least through the declassification process that is public. It's not about showing the public. It's about prosecuting the criminals, which they are. And then he says, whether or not this investigation is going as far-reaching as it should, I will just answer you this. While I can't comment on the investigation itself, me specifically, have shown the American people time and again the weaponization. Now I'm director of the FBI, and thanks to Donald Trump, got to say Thanks, Trump again. We have a great Attorney General, Pam Bondi. Pam Bondi doing nothing. Where we can find accountability. We're joining forces literally on a daily basis to do so, especially on the matters of Watergate. So, and Kudlow says, listen, you've been on the show many times. We talked about it on the show many times. We talked about the radio. But Cash, can you say there is an investigation? So he's asking the question, is there an investigation, Cash? Cash, I am, of course, overseeing the current matters that the FBI involved themselves with from Russiagate on. Whether or not there's an open investigation, Larry, I think you know that I can't answer that. But I think you also know that our partners across the intelligence community would not be divulging this type of information if it did not serve some use for me, specifically here at the FBI. I can't speak for them. Of course, I won't speak to any charging decisions on any matters. That will come with the collaboration of our great partners at the DOJ who work hand in hand with us every day. So this is a pathetic deep state puppet, PATEL, admitting in a fake Fox News interview that the intelligence community, the IC, which is equal to the deep state, in my assessment, and since I was inside both, is in control. Because listen to the last paragraph again, but I think you know that our partners across the IC, the intelligence community, would not be divulging this type of information. That means they're giving him the information if it did not serve some use for me. For me, why would they give it to him? Because they don't give everything they're asked ever. It's obvious that they're giving it for him. No, he's replaced me with them. He's just simply changed it and hoping no one will notice. So what it should say is, but I think you know that our partners across the IC would not be divulging this type of information if it did not serve some use for them, specifically here at the FBI. I can't speak for them, of course. I won't speak to any charging decisions. That will come with collaboration with our great partners. So he won't admit anything. And he's admitting, well, he admitted one thing, that the IC, the deep state, is controlling this whole script. That's really what he's saying there. Even though he said they've released the information for me, it really means for them. I hope that's clear. So his statement is nonsensical until the one word is changed from me to them. The IC is divulging what intelligence information serves them. And you can watch the clip at the 7-minute, 50-second mark. And it is on my patreon.com. And it's also on my locals at the $5 level, patreon.com/Jeffrey Prather. And thanks for those of you who just signed up. Appreciate that. You always get my thank you letter with all the details. And I also talk to folks there. If you want to have a deep conversation with me, that's the place to do it. But note too that not one word of an investigation, confirmation, nor indictments. Why? Because confirmation of an open investigation requires a case file. This is how it's done. I've opened hundreds of case files. I've closed hundreds of case files. A case file that could be then subpoenaed as evidence, which would be the thread pulling apart the FBI's obvious involvement. No admission of an open investigations means no case file, which means no subpoenas, and no case file means no indictments, which means this is just another Fox fake news show belted out by Hoft at the Gateway, fake news or pretend law enforcement by two deep state puppets. And that is the truth about that breaking story, which I'm sorry to say, but that is the way it is. Carly Simon, I can't get any volume here on X, Jeff. I will go to Rumble TV. Sorry about that. Jake Pacheco, thanks for reposting there. I don't know what's going on. I know I've got a lot of, because of what I'm talking about is anti-Zionism in Israel and black racism religion. I'm getting a lot more censorship and targeting than I do normally. Carly Simon, oh yeah, I see you on Rumble already. Patriot Pacification Patel. I saw this. I call him pathetic puppet Patel. But beyond that, there is the. So what these stories do, they masquerade as news, but again, the intelligence community doesn't collect intelligence; it collects people. The CIA doesn't collect intelligence, it collects people. The FBI doesn't stop crime and terrorism, it manages crime and terrorism. And so when the intelligence community or the CIA want to manage people and manage information, they do information operations, which are dissemination operations, which are psychological operations. And they do that through the media. The mainstream media is totally bought and paid for by the intelligence community. Anderson Cooper, the silver-haired homosexual on CNN. The only place he worked before CNN was CIA, and they're all controlled. And that goes for Fox, that goes for Newsmax as well. And so this another story that I've posted on my locals and on my Patreon is a human event story by Jack. Let me say his name right. Posobiec, he's very popular. I think he's on Bannon all the time. Again, Bannon, the guy who was trying to remake Epstein's image, and Posobiec, who was a lieutenant junior grade naval intelligence officer very briefly, and then got out and then is elevated to this position. Why? Because he's easily controlled. And he's talking about how important this Trump announcement with the European leaders was and how significant it is. And of course, I said, it's a nothing burger, nothing happening there. And he quoted Trump and said, man, he's gonna have peace because of this, and he may, so he'll never get the Nobel Prize like he should. And he says, but I was just taken aback by what President Trump said to Emmanuel Macron. He said, I think Putin wants to do a deal with me, crazy as that sound. And we believe that providence governs all history. That's good, divine providence. And sometimes it's a little clearer than other times. And then he added, and I love both sides of that statement. He's clearly trying to wrangle the Europeans and Zelensky. But then he went on to say, and here's the key word, and I'm quoting Posobiec, who is quoting Trump now. Look, I went there to Alaska. I think Putin actually wants to do a deal. I know that sounds crazy. The Ukraine war has been going on for 11 years. We've been in a Cold War with a little bit of a break with Russia since the 1940s, but I think he wants a deal. And so that's really crucial because in World War II, of course, the Russians were our allies. Now, Patton came along and said, hey, we should fight those because what came out of Russia was the Soviet Union. Agree with that as well. But then Reagan, I went in, I got commissioned under Reagan, built up the military, built up the economy, and collapsed the Soviet Union. So what happens when the Soviet Union collapses? Well, that's the end of the Cold War. That's the end of that classic Berlin spine. If you have subscribed to my Substack for my paid articles, you see me talking about my mentor, Chief Warrant Officer Mel Reed there, with Berlin Special Forces secret intelligence operations. That's the Man from U.N.C.L.E. movie, all that kind of really sexy spy stuff that happened back then. So that ended, but then the old, Cold War pigs that are still in running the CIA want to continue that with the rascally Russians. And that should have been a new view taken on the Russians. They should have looked fresh, but they did not. Because again, the Cold War was a period of geopolitical rivalry between the United States and it basically was in the 48, 49. Then there was the Korean War, 1950, 53, the Cuban Missile Crisis, 62. So that was proxy. 55 to 75 is the Vietnam War. Again, proxy war, and again, deep state wars that we're not allowed to win. Cold War began to wind down in the 80s under Gorbachev, who introduced reforms. And then Bush and Gorbachev declared the Cold War over at the Malta summit. And then since then, U.S.-Russia relations have been turbulent with a brief honeymoon period in the 90s and then deteriorated due to NATO expansionism, Kosovo, which is again NATO going in, and Iraq, which is again the U.S. going in, Russia actions in Ukraine and Syria, which again, Russia is in response to Ukraine intervention, which was CIA driven. So it's US aggression again, and accusations of Russian interference in the 2016 presidential election, which we know brings us back to Russiagate, which brings us back to CIA FBI, because that was all fake. So the problems with the relations with that rascally Russians are all because of the US aggression, which is driven by the US intelligence community, which is the deep state. So, and then Trump, when he says we're still in a Cold War with Russia, shows his mentality. He has bought hook, line, and sinker the deep state, the intelligence community's side of the rascally Russians. He is still attached to these institutions. He, like so many people, they watch the Born Supremacy movies, they watch the FBI show movies, and they, oh, the FBI guys, oh, the CIA guys. When you've worked with them, law enforcement who's worked with the FBI, somebody get on and tell me, some former Leo, you know, the FBI is not particularly impressive. The CIA, and if there's some old SF guys, the CIA is not particularly impressive. Special operations, special forces, quite impressive. But anyway, you know, and that is constantly pushed by TV, by movies, and there's even a joke about it in 13 Hours, where the truly brave former SEALs, who are now Special Activities Division contractors to the CIA at the CIA annex in Benghazi, say, "Hey, where are the Borns?" And they're like, "The Borns are under the table," because they're pretending that the pipe hitters are CIA, which they're not. They are ex-military and usually Tier 1 or Special Ops. They don't really. Very, very few come straight out. The former guy, I can't think of it, who started with Eric Prince Blackwater. But again, he's very confused as well. And again, I'm responding to serious questions and debates, not the unserious. Like there was a guy who said, "Oh, how dare you criticize Trump? What have you ever done?" And like, well, 25 years in the military, 19 years in the DEA, 18 years in the DIA, and then I think you missed the whole segment where I just had Team America Iowa that is working on human trafficking and done child rescue, and then initiation, and then Christ chaplaincy. But there's this knee-jerk reaction that people think Trump is a messiah, and then if you dare criticize him, that means you're criticizing the easy answer that he's going to do everything for you, which is not true. How we got here in the first place is we delegated everything out to these evil folks. And Trump is a political figure. He likes to be liked, and he is vulnerable to that, which is why we have to keep the pressure on. Again, going back to the human intelligence motivation matrix. MICE is money, influence, coercion, and ego. And for Trump, that is ego. So this story is just this is fueling the image that the deep state wants to put out about Trump now. It is not the truth by any means. And so that's why, and I was at a VIP event for Bannon a while back, and you can always tell how people are, and I say this in my intros, how they treat people in private and unimportant people, like, chauffeurs, taxi drivers, waiters. That really reveals their character. And he was late for a VIP thing, and when he finally breezed in, he just went over to the photo station, ignored everybody there, and I certainly wasn't going to chase him. Now, other people, like I did movies. I did a movie with Chris Christopherson years ago. Awesome guy, tough guy, former Army Ranger, helicopter pilot, tough guy in real life, I can tell you. or even Janet Reno, walked all the way across a room full of agents to shake my hand. But Bannon, couldn't be bothered. He just wants pretty blondes to come on his show. And he certainly doesn't want to talk about why he was trying to reform Epstein's image after he had been convicted of child predation as well. So very significant that Trump has bought into the CIA's propaganda line about rascally Russia, and shows that one way that he is captured, that he may be unknowingly captured. Carly Simon, really, you think people still think Trump is their savior? I thought that all changed after Epstein. No, there's a lot of them, because they're yelling at me. They're sending me emails and telling me, and people don't pay attention to what's going on at all. Tona Todex, FBI took credit for taking down Bonnie and Clyde when it was Texas Rain. Yes, that's very true. There's a great movie about that with Kevin Costner. Somebody tell me, The Highwaymen, really good, very realistic portrayal of how they got Bonnie and Clyde. Except that they kind of portrayed Bonnie as more dangerous than she was. She may not have killed anybody if you look at but the actual shooting at the end there is very realistic. Really good show with Kevin Costner, The Highwaymen, if you want to see. And I love realism in law enforcement and military stuff. My wife and kids think I want to see violence, but it's just that you should see real violence. Almost no movies show real violence. But anyway, yeah, that's a real good one. Major movie for the week, The Highwaymen. About that, not the stupid Bonnie and Clyde one as well. But anyway, it works either way because it's dividing the country about Trump and MAGA as well. So that works to the deep state ends as well. I'm still a supporter of Trump. I'm still praying for Trump, but I'm also going to call him out and want to have pressure on him when he is not performing as he should be. That brings me to my next point, which is I don't know whether you know this, but I'm back on YouTube. Shh, don't tell anybody. Yeah. So a while back, Connie, I think, told me that George Webb was back on YouTube. So I got back on YouTube when so I started the Prather Point after warrior schools, government, war on terrorism, military classes started to fade out in 2014 because it was a huge business for a decade. It was a great job. Maybe you've seen the show with the former warrior school instructors. We were veterans teaching those new veterans going down range and saved lives. It's just awesome for 10 years. And then those things faded out, kind of ended up cool, was sent to Hawaii to teach 250 soldiers, close quarter combatives for a day. And the rest of the week, I got to do whatever I wanted, drivers. And we went to the USS Arizona and everything. But then I started to get into competitive intelligence consultation, which I do, which you don't see anything about because it's client-based and it's all private. But then also started doing the Prather Point on the radio in Tucson in 2018. And before that, from 2017 to 2015, 16, 17, I was a guest on a lot of radio shows like Fox, and then local shows as well. And anyway, got kicked off of the radio because I accused Black Lives Matter of only caring about a couple of Black criminals, Obama, which I went over the crimes, Benghazi, Iran, money laundering, all of that, and George Floyd, pointing a gun at a pregnant Black lady's belly, and he was a convicted felon and all that, and that they didn't care about Black lives. They only cared about a couple Black criminals' lives, and they certainly didn't care about the 60 million Black unborn babies murdered in the womb, or sometimes born alive and then having their spinal cord snipped by Gosnell. That's another movie that you can watch if you got a strong stomach, Gosnell as well. And so then I went on to YouTube, and I was doing pretty well on YouTube. I had about 78,000 followers on YouTube, and then all those shows went away. And so then by 2020, I was on Rumble, where I'm at now, and X, and so kind of like Beck's journey from CNN, then fired to Fox, then fired to his own stuff. Except I'm not nearly as big as Beck. I remain pretty small. I think I remain pretty small again because I do these very deep dives, and you have to be a pretty sophisticated audience member to follow what I'm talking about. But again, patreon.com, follow deeper, jeffreyprizzialocals.com. Get your life-saving medicine prescriptions at jeffreyprizzial.com/chase. Go to heavensharvest.com, code JP15 for 15% off of non-GMO seeds as well. And go to mehenmd.com, where you can get a outside-the-box doctor, Dr. Terry Lakin. He's been on the show. He went to Leavenworth as an Army colonel because he would not submit to Obama's fake birth certificate. So that's important. But where I wanted to go next was zero AI reels on my Shiny Black Heroine Substack proves point. So if you haven't got my Substack, go look for that. And most of the Substacks are free. There are some pay ones. It's $8 a year. And there's some real sensitive stuff that I reveal and talk about. But I had my latest Substack was on sick of the Shiny Black Heroine script. And so I was talking about every show now has a Shiny Black Heroine or a hero or a lesbian or homosexual as the hero, and the white guy or the white woman, is screwed up. And it used to be that the stereotype of blacks was that they were stupid and shuffling, and that was to make them submissive. And now the new racist script is that they are superior. And the reason that the simplistic left buys all this stuff is because they don't know how to interact with people anymore because they're all on their phones. So they just follow their talking points. So if whites enslaved blacks, then whites must be bad, and therefore blacks must be good. Except they're forgetting that black Africans had slaves, American Indians had slaves, Romans had slaves, everybody had slaves because of our fallen human nature. Anybody that could have power over anybody had slaves, period. The Cherokee had slaves. And then the other thing is that because men have oppressed women, that then men are bad, so therefore all women must be good. So then black women must be the best. That's the simplistic reasoning of the left, because they are barely literate. And I've seen many memos come out of DEA headquarters that were grammatically incorrect, and the syntax was wrong, and they were spelled wrong too. And the reality is that there's a lot of black bureaucratic workers at senior grades that are barely literate or not literate in the DC area. And I don't know if there's somebody on there that there's not somebody else that can confirm that or not. That's a former G guy like me. I do have some of those on, but it's true. Carly Simon, Jeff, it's not supposed to be a secret that you're back on YouTube. That's not how you would get the word out. I know, I'm just kidding. I am trying to get through, but I don't have it under it's under J Dome. And I also put the reels out on there. But that's getting back to my point. So my point was, after every show, my streaming service generates reels. AI generates reels. So I'm turning the AI Claymore, just like Mike Adams is taking my shows and AI generating them to redefine and re-educate, reprogram AI that is out there. And so I get maybe 10 to 15 reels, and I publish them on my YouTube. You can go look them up right now. Go find J Dome. and because that's my birth last name because I was adopted. And anyway, they cover everything on the show. But what they did not cover at all, not one, but zero reels on my shiny black heroine script Substack. So that tells you all you need to know is that the streaming AI has been pre-programmed to avoid all that, which is exactly my point. I was talking about the Bainbridge, I think it was, worker, female, black 40ish woman who just beat this 3-year-old white boy up. And of course, it had been a white woman beating up a 3-year-old black kid. It would have been all over the place. And you see this savagery all the time. You just saw this beat down in Cincinnati. You see it in airports. You see it all over the place where inner city blacks, not all blacks, but inner city governmental blacks have become savage. And part of that is because there's no fathers around. That's because the welfare system rewards fatherlessness as well. Part of that is the CIA helped bring drugs into the inner cities. And that is, you don't have to work for welfare. You can run drugs and everything, but you don't see any of that on TV or movies. None. What you always see is an evil Russian guy or an evil white guy or an evil. You don't see any of the. You used to see these movies. In fact, Morgan Freeman got started playing roles like that, but you don't see them anymore at all. So, Russ Craig, I subbed to J Dome. Yeah, great. Yeah, and also spread those reels around for me too. And also, please subscribe to Rumble as well. I would appreciate that. So anyway, the zero AI reels on my shiny black heroine Substack proves my point that AI is prejudiced and you can't depend upon it. And they're starting to investigate that fact because they want to have standards for medical AI, because medical AI wants to create synthetic biology. And what's that? That's a self-licking ice cream cone like everything else, where the government is taking over pharmacia, big pharmacia. And again, I'm using the Greek word there, sorcery, by the great men of the world were fooled by their pharmacia, their sorcery, which is revelation. And so you cannot depend upon that. And you've got to be independent from that. But they don't want anything to be independent from that. They want it to be dependent so that they can control the script completely. That's the point there as well. And so the final point here is Matthew 6:24, two masters. You can't serve two masters. Either you will love one and hate the other, or hate one and love the other. And the two masters are Christ in America or Trump and Israel, because Trump has clearly chosen Israel's best interest over America's. And that is not America first anymore. And again, MAGA, Make America Great, is dependent upon goodness. America will be great if she's good. She'll be good if she's godly. And the question remains to be seen if we are going to return to our godliness or not. In many areas, we are, and that's why I'm going to Iowa September 13th. And I just had Team America Iowa team leader on coming to that event to work human trafficking and transhumanism from the ground up as an answer. And you can do that by joining Team America at jeffreyprather.com. Hi, Cropman. Only AA that's truthful is Mike Adams. Yeah, I'd agree with that. And and Mike asked me, hey, can I use your shows? And so you can look those up too. You can look up, and it's pretty cool. And I've only watched one because I don't have time to watch all the videos people send me. But I watched one. But Mike's AI takes my shows and then puts images of me and what I'm talking about to educate properly and counter the propaganda that's out there. And I think he does it for all my shows. Somebody can tell me, you can send me a link or something. But he's doing that purposefully to turn the Claymore, and I'm very happy and honored to be part of that. And he asked me about that. So that's really important. And remember, my email is hacked. I'll get that fixed. jp@jeffprather.com. It's not working right now, but you can email me at help@jeffreyprather.com, help@jeffreyprather.com. And my books are going fast. Must have been talking about these a lot, but I got a couple sets left. If you want signed books, not too many left. If you're interested in those, help@jeffreyprather.com or in the jeffreyprather.com shop as well. So one more thing I wanted to cover before I wrap up here. And again, I'm not going to stay on just to talk. I don't want to waste anybody's time, least of all mine. And I try and I found out that you guys like longer shows. I was kind of surprised, but don't have that much to go over today. But I do want to talk one more about a radar eavesdropping that your smartphone's tiny vibrations could reveal private conversations. And this is a real interesting story. And I left it when I posted this on my Patreon. I left all the tags on here so you could see them. And the tags are artificial intelligence, bad science, which is interesting, big government, computing, cyber war, dangerous digital security, future tech, glitch, information technology, malware, national security, Spygate, surveillance, vibrations. And then the last one is whisper, which is very interesting. And so the story says, radar eavesdropping. Your smartphone's tiny vibrations could reveal private conversations. Researchers at Penn State demonstrated that millimeter wave radar can detect microscopic vibrations, 7 micrometers, from smartphone speakers, allowing partial reconstruction of conversations from over 10 feet away without hacking or breaching encryption. Hypothetically, the intelligence community can do a lot more than that. Using OpenAI's Whisper, the team trained AI to interpret radar-captured vibrations, achieving 60% accuracy at 20 inches and 2.4% at 10 feet. Even fragmented data can reveal sensitive details, credit card numbers, if context is known. And that's intelligence right there. That's plenty of intelligence. If you've ever seen the new Midway, which I really recommend, and you see Roquefort and Leighton talking about how much they can interpret of the Japanese code, they get a flavor of it. And that's still what people don't understand is at times I'm presenting analyzed information, which is intelligence, and at times I'm presenting fact-based proof, evidence as well, side by side, which they are not the same thing. Intelligence wants to protect sources and method, and law enforcement wants to outsource this method for chain of custody in court. So that's why some of the spy movies are really stupid, and some of the CIA counter-drug stuff in the when I got into it in the 90s went nowhere, because when it comes to time to go to court, the intelligence agencies don't want to do that. Saw that a lot, the CIA overseas. Anyway, they're saying corporate spies, identity thieves, malicious actors could exploit this. Test on Samsung and OnePlus phone showed 40% accuracy at 3 feet. Proposed countermeasures include vibration masking motors, sound absorbing materials, AI adjusted audio frequencies to confuse radar sensors. And so the OpenAI's Whisper. So my point about this whole article is, what's the real point here? Again, I see this as another propaganda piece that, they can get you anytime and they can get you anywhere, which is not true at all. 1 Samuel 17:50 is Goliath has intimidated, psyoped everybody except for David. And David uses very low tech to defeat Goliath. But before that, he says, hey, I've killed bears and lions. I can kill you too. And Goliath is a giant, so that's like the federal government. He's got all kinds of armor. And now the way he's portrayed is wrong. People don't do their homework. It's not a hand sling, although hand slings are very powerful. It was a shepherd's sling, which is a shepherd's staff with the leather thong on it. It's a portable trebuchet, long distance slinging, which is almost never portrayed correctly. But if you read scripture, Goliath actually says, David, why are you approaching me with your staff in your hand? So it's actually, that's actually how it was done. But people get that wrong all the time. But again, 1 Samuel 17:50, it's like, oh my gosh, they can hear our conversations. It's not that hard. Put in an earpiece and whisper like this. And it's very solvable. These are not giants. These are failures with father wounds and mama's boy as well. Strange to see you here again. Bless up, Rusty. Oh, Rusty Craig there is on YouTube, and I see you as well. Yeah, like the old days, huh? How about that? Cool there as well. Can I live with you, please? Oh, Carly Simon, can I? Not me. I'm happily married. 95, I jumped through all the hoops to enter time-consuming project. I think you guys are talking about each other. Anyway. So that is what I wanted to cover today, but I'm glad to have such a good conversation with everybody. If you have other comments or questions, please bring them up now, because I'm going to wrap up here fairly quickly. Because again, if I don't have anything urgent, and I'm not going to repeat all the stories that the mainstream intelligence community sponsored media is talking about, because a lot of it is old hat and old stuff. But yes, we are. But I come with, so you can't come live with me. I'm happily married, and my wife is very jealous, and so are my girls. But anyway, good show today. Encourage you to join me on patreon.com, especially at the $25 level. I've got Point Patriots who can then train with me either in the Bujinkan. I just put out a very heartfelt post on Facebook, on Meta, about people leaving the Bujinkan. If you want to read that, say I'm not leaving the Bujinkan. When back in the day when everybody was bad mouthing me, and Phil Laguerre and Michael Pierce were trying to get me thrown out of the Bujinkan, and Michael Pierce lived in Japan. Hatsumi Sensei stood by me. I went to Japan. He knew exactly what was going on. He choked Pierce out at my feet. Shiraishi Shion came to my room and said, don't worry about it. We know about Pierce. And the loyalty that he showed me when so many people were turning against me, I'll never forget. Not leaving the Bujinkan. I am modernizing the Bujinkan Taijutsu now that my sensei, my teacher, the grandmaster, the founder, has retired. I feel that is honorable, and I can do that. But if you're interested in that, you can do that by joining patreon.com/Jeffrey Prith at the $25 level. Or you can also join my Handgun Martial Arts class. And I got quite a few new guys in that are really enjoying that. And I do monthly live online training. And then some of my other instructors do more than monthly online training. And then we also do in person. Like last night, the Tucson group was doing decision shooting with, it's a Milo, which I don't know what the Milo stands for, but in my day it was FATS, Firearms Action Training System, where there's decision, no decision. It's kind of like playing a video game. You have to shoot, no shoot. Decision shooting by the Fifth Circuit was required of federal agents annually, so it's really good and important to do. But that's just an example of a lot of doors open if you join Point Patriot. And I also at all Patreon, I have discussions. If you really want to talk to me and debate and stuff, that's where to do it. Nobody really does it on locals. I'm not sure why, but if you really want to continue, and that's why I tell a lot of, when people start emailing me repeatedly, I'm like, hey, you need to get on Patreon if you want to continue these discussions all the time there as well. But anyway, marry an American. Well, it sounds like there's romance here on the Rumble brand. Well, I've had people get married from being in the dojo. So maybe, maybe you guys, maybe there'll be romance. Good. I hope so. There's not enough people getting married today. Marriage, the highest and hardest sacrament. I was a chaplain. I've done marriages as well. But anyway, Remember, our borders have crumbled, our schools corrupted, our institutions infiltrated, and our brave troops betrayed, abandoned, and slaughtered. Fake news, propaganda, commercial sponsors now not only push more and more anti-schizophrenia and penis-straightening drugs to be drugged up, fattened up, dumbed down, couch potato class, but now add androgenized trannies to the repertoire, the better to pimp, abuse, molest, addict, and suicide our children. George Carlin's hilarious rant on America's germophobia has been actualized in the obsessive government masquerades, distances, and hand washings via the COVID cult. Behold the apocalypse of the sovereign nation state. Obama declared himself a world citizen. Biden erases borders and ignores citizens. This is the post-war redistricting of a new and artificial boundaries. Iraq was thus made, and Pahasapa, the sacred Black Hills of the Lakota, thus lost. As always, I'm not advocating anything illegal, immoral, unethical, nor violent, but the left does constantly, openly, and blatantly, because they control the inflection points of force, police, military, schools, and courtrooms. And they still do. That's the real scary thing. They still do. Under Biden, it was obvious. Under Trump, it is less. Be enraged, but refine it. Be furious, but focus it. Be angry, but action it. In focused inflection points, where we tip the balance of power. That's what I'll be doing in Iowa. Be a non-kinetic, fourth generation information influence operation warfighter sniper, not shotgunner. The time for kinetics will come, because it always does. And when you see real violence, you will wish you hadn't. But for now, team up, link up, and train up with Team America at jeffreypreza.com. Surveil and identify covert enemy forces from Blantyre to Thebes, plan, strategize, analyze, then with focused fury, act. Freedom is taken. Take it.